honestly, coaching, a lot of people like to clown Zac Taylor, but it's like the guy has been to a Super Bowl. His first year with Joe Burrow healthy and Jamar Chase, what does he do? He makes it to a Super Bowl, outcoaches Andy Reid, outcoaches Mike Vrabel off a bye, and then outcoaches Richie Bisaccia, who had the Raiders playing hot. The Raiders were one of the hottest teams going into the league, so it's not like and then he coached toe-to-toe, went head-to-head with his former boss, Sean McVay. And if Joe Burrow has a split-second extra time with a offensive line who can protect versus Von Miller and Aaron Donald, which is a tall task when you have the worst offensive line in football, you win the game because Jamar Chase turned Jalen Ramsey inside out, and he was wide open.
See, I think there's more to that than just that, too, because they were down 21-3. They came back and won. They've done that a couple of times in the last 2 years with the Joe Burrow era. Plus, starts the season clunky and then flips the switch. And next thing you know, they've rattled off 8 consecutive wins.
Yeah.
And in those games, they've done what the old Patriots used to do, which is they take your biggest strength and they make you play left-handed.
Yeah.
Which all good coaches do. Andy Reid does this. Bill Belichick did this. Sean Payton did this. Tony Dungy did this. And that's a part of a great coach. I'm not comparing him to those particular coaches. I'm just saying that's what they did to win the games. And that's what he's done this season and why they've turned things around and why I think they're going to beat the Bills on Monday night.
Yeah, and I just don't think that Sean McDermott is the guy that's as good as someone like Zac Taylor is making a team play left-handed. But if you take away Jamar Chase, we still have T. Higgins. The Bengals are the best team in the league on third down. Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine are back. They're both fully healthy. And then your offensive line has come alive. And the Bengals show up and show out in big games. We saw them struggling throughout the year, but then when it was time to come alive, when Jamar Chase was out, the team showed up and responded. T. Higgins showed up. And when Jamar Chase was out, who led the league in receiving through that stretch? T. Higgins. And then you have Jamar Chase, who can handle anyone in the Bills secondary. They'll be able to pick up their downs pretty easily. But the Bengals also have the luxury. Oh, we're just going to flip it out to Samaje Perine. He's going to take it 15 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards. And they're a really good offense at just driving the field the whole time, waiting for the other team to make a mistake. Joe Burrow doesn't turn the ball over in big games. He rarely throws an interception when he's in the playoffs last year. Didn't have too many crucial turnovers. When he does, it's not at an inopportune time. Where Josh Allen, most turnovers in the league since week 6. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I feel like it's going to be, I think it's a coaching mismatch just with Sean McDermott versus Zac Taylor. I think people will see that. And I just don't think people realize how good of a coach Zac Taylor has been over the past few years for the Bengals.
Honestly, the way I've kind of felt about Sean McDermott the last couple of years kind of reminds me of the AFC Matt LaFleur. Yeah. Because I don't think he's a bad coach. I think Matt LaFleur is also a good coach. But when it comes to like when Matt LaFleur faced Sean McVay, or when he faces Kyle Shanahan, or hell, even when he faced Bruce Arians last year, he got outcoached by all three of those guys. And it was obvious in each of those games. I mean, you go back to the Bucks and Packers game, it's like Bruce Arians had his number. And Bruce Arians, like, say what you will about Bruce Arians, still a great coach. And then Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, I mean, and then it goes, back to Sean McDermott. It's like 13 seconds to contain the Chiefs.
Your calling card is defense, too.
Yeah, exactly. So calling card's defense, and then against the Chiefs, Andy Reid outcoached you. Zac Taylor has outcoached you. It's like, okay. And then even Belichick, who... Sean McDermott's been on this coaching staff for, I think this is 6th year as their head coach.
Yeah.
And Belichick, up until last year, owned you.
Yeah.
So I think it's a story. Something to think about.
Yeah, I had a take going into the year, and I was like, watch the Buffalo Bills offense regress without Brian Daboll. And I feel like they have. And I feel like Josh Allen has turned the ball over more. I feel like he's trying to do more. And I feel like they have suffered a little bit. And I feel like they have missed Brian Daboll so far. And we've seen what he's done with Daniel Jones. And it's similar where we're going to limit turnovers, run the ball, have big plays. And I feel like their offense was definitely a lot smoother and more efficient with Brian Dable. And I've seen it's not as efficient this year. Like I said, completion percentage, Josh Allen is 30th in the league since week 6.